What is going on, guys? Carter here with Edge Mindset. Boy, have I got a Kunwu for you. I'm a poet and didn't even know it. We're taking a look at a really nice knife. Now, I've actually opened this already. I just want to show you guys what you get inside the box. As you can see, I did it haphazardly. Now, before we begin, a lot of my viewers do not like Chinese-made knives. I get it. I respect it. I understand it. I'm not trying to push you into checking out Chinese-made knives, but if you are China curious, I would highly recommend you look at Kunwu for a bunch of reasons, and I'll cover some of those in this video here. There's a lot of good ones you can check out, and you can always do like USA-made companies at OEM with Riot and things like that. But Kunwu is doing something a little bit better with their knives, and you may not know it just looking at them. So we're going to talk about it. All right, so you get a pack here, pretty generic Kunwu. You get their mascot is a donkey, like a ninja samurai donkey. Couple stickers here, no big deal. Got a card, we got paper. They all come in this like burlappy type sack here, Kunwu sack. This comes with an alternate wire clip. That's not what's installed. It has a 3D milled titanium clip, but it's cool that they include this in case you like the wire clip and cloth. And here's the knife. This is called the Primo. This is the Primo model, and I am really, really digging it. I got it the other day. I cannot keep it out of my hands. I enjoy it. I think it looks cool. I think the steel is very interesting, although there's some things I want to point out about it. And yeah, anyways, let's get into it. Let's do the boring stuff. Let's do size comparison. I don't want to spend a lot of time, wasted time doing this. Roughly similar to a paramilitary 2. Little bit longer, but very, very close to a paramilitary 2. Let's do an actual size, I guess. I don't know. Do you guys want millimeters or? All right, we'll do imperial. We'll do imperial, right? That's what we want. 3.5 inch blade. Overall length is just under 8 inches. So a nice medium sized knife. Now, this butcher cleaver style blade, it's a fatty. It's a fatty McFatterson. You can see how wide it is. It's way wider than a Spyderco. So that's going to probably be the number one deterrent for people getting this particular model, is just how wide this is. But if that doesn't bother you, strap in, because it's a good one. You can see the thickness here, very comparable to like a paramilitary 2. It's full titanium, so it's going to have some weight to it. They've done their best to kind of lighten it up where they can. 5.5 ounces. For a big, gnarly bruiser like that, that's not too bad. This is 3.6 though, so, if you're after the light stuff, you're not really going to like the Primo. Why did I open that? So, cleaver blade, like we mentioned, basically a Warncliffe style edge here. Nice and straight, nice sharp tip, reasonably thin behind the edge. I mean, it's got some pretty decent thickness of the stockage here. You can see how high this grind is with this big, wide blade. So you're going to get some slicey. This thing cuts paper and packages like a dream, but it's also robust enough. You could do some light chopping or some maybe a little bit of tip work. I would be a little bit careful with that. You could bust that off, but the good thing about this style blade is even if you take that tip off, it doesn't really affect your general cutting performance. You can still use this bad boy. This one has a dark acid stonewash. When do I want to talk about this? We'll talk about this here in a second. Big opening hole that works very, very well. Reverse flick, thumb flick. Very, very nicely done. It's positioned well. If you use this top portion right there, it's in the right spot and flicks open like a dream. You can also front flip it. It's got really good aggressive jimping coming up the top here. Nice and chamfered on all the edges, by the way. In the thumb hole, none of this is sharp. It's done very, very well. The front flipper works pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't say it's it's not an S tier front flipper, but maybe A or B tier. It's pretty dang good. Let's see if I can index it. Barely. But if I can even barely do it, then no, I can't do it. Then you probably can if you're better at it than me. Now, before I forget, let's talk about the steel. Vancron. I had never, ever heard of that steel until I got this knife. It sounds really, really cool. Vancron steel reminds me of Voltron. You older guys, you know Voltron with the robots, the cat robots that connect into the giant robot. Very cool stuff. So from what I understand, it's a nitrogen-rich but high-carbon steel. I mistakenly thought it was similar to Vanex. Probably just because of the van, right? Vanex, Vancron. I thought it was a similar type setup. It's not at all. In fact, it's pretty opposite. And I'm not a big steel guy, so please excuse if I get some things wrong or I'm off. Please just correct down below. If you do a better write-up for me, I'll pin it in the comments so everyone can reference that comment instead of my babbling. But Vanex is kind of a super stainless steel, right? It's used, it's pretty magical because it's used in situations where corrosion is a high probability, by the sea, if there's a lot of water, stuff like that. But with the way it's done, it's also very good all around steel, right? Because generally speaking, in knife steels, if you get something that's really corrosion resistant, it's because it's got a ton of chromium in it. And if it has a ton of chromium in it, it means it has less carbon and less other stuff. And so tends to be softer, doesn't hold an edge, all that kind of stuff. But with Vanex, they kind of cracked the code and composed it in a certain way where you don't sacrifice as much as you normally would have for the high corrosion resistance. And I thought this was the same, but it's not. This is actually a very high carbon steel. And you can see, I've only had this a few days. It's already started to stain where for some reason, when I open it with my left hand, I guess my left thumb must be really acidic because it's left a stain there. Whereas I don't really, maybe a little bit, but I don't really have it on this side. It is very, very reactive because of that high carbon content. I even put, let me see here, that's a little greasy in there. I even put like a little dab of bluing compound in there and it reacted super fast on that steel. Let me clean that up. Okay, I got it all wiped down now. You can see just right there, I just put a little dab. I've got a bluing pen that I use for a lot of different things. It's excellent to have if you're into pews or knives. Just put a little dab there to see how it would react and barely touched it and it almost immediately darkened up. So clearly very high carbon content. Now I assume that means that it would be, rust prone. So be careful with that and it's going to discolor. The fact that it discolored like this with a dark acid wash on it is pretty freaking crazy. I can't wait to see how this thing performs. And to learn more about this Vancron steel. And if you have more information on its performance and things like that, like I said, pin it down below or put it down below and I'll pin it for you. Now on to the scales, which is the other really cool thing I think about this knife, and some people might not like it. So full titanium scales, right? Frame lock. You've got a nice lock bar insert that's like hidden. It's completely embedded in there. Very well done. Titanium. This texture is insane. It is one of the grippiest, most abrasive textures I've ever seen on titanium. To a certain degree, even more so than like a Strider double gunner grip. Like it's different. This is more sandpapery, whereas the double gunner grip is a little different, but very abrasive titanium. In fact, some people say it's too much. So if you can hear it. Like it is the grippiest. I have no idea how they even do this. I don't see how they could mill something like this so small and so random. I don't know how they do this texture. If anybody knows, let me know. It almost seems like I don't know. It's weird. Look how small all of these pieces are. And they're all very sharp cut. I didn't realize that. I'd seen this texture. I thought it was more subtle, but it is extremely rough. So if you like to get a super strong purchase and you like to have that kind of rough feel, you're going to dig it. If you've got kind of softer hands, you might not enjoy this texture. In fact, the person I bought this from, it's one of the reasons why he got rid of it. It was too abrasive for him. We've got a pivot collar here to mask us for a little pop of color. Custom pivot on this side, regular pivot to undo on this side. Very cool. Nice 3D milled pocket clip. I like the way Kunwu does it. It's clean, it's stylish, it's functional, works very, very well. Perfect tension. I assume this is going to be a pocket shredder though, because it doesn't have a flat spot or anything underneath there. Partial back spacer, pretty boring, plain, but it does the job. 2-screw construction on the main body here. And then you've got the pocket clip screw, which I don't think, no, it does not go into the back spacer. So it just goes into the scale there. Now, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if, let's see. All right, I want to see if this pocket clip is actually reversible, if it can fit into the wire clip on the other side. Wire clip, you know, yeah. Or, oh, it does. That is cool. So you can either reverse this clip or you can put the wire clip on either side. I was wondering if you were going to set it up for lefty, if your only option was to do the wire clip, but you can reverse this. It's got the extra hardware there. So very, very cool. Now back to ergonomics. This is, I got to make sure not to lose that screw. Extremely, extremely ergonomic. Feels super good in the hand. Everything is nice and curved, as you can see here. Very, very comfortable. Perfectly fits in the hand. Kind of has that little banana shape, you know. It's just perfect for fitting in the hand. You've got this really big choil here you can choke up on. The only thing I wish is that this jimping went up a little bit further, because if you're choking up, you know, you kind of run out of jimping, especially if you're kind of really getting up here, but not a big deal. It does kind of save a little bit more pocket wear and hand wear by not having this jimped. As you put your hand in the pocket, you don't have to worry about rubbing up against that and things like that. But very cool knife. I like it a lot. This is one of the ones that I saw when it came out, and I didn't love the blade shape. I'm not the biggest cleaver fan. It looked a little bit boring, you know. I didn't realize it had interesting steel at that time, but one popped up pre-owned and pretty decent price. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to jump on it. I do like Kunwu, and I haven't gotten one in a while. And so I picked it up, and I was actually more surprised than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be another addition to the old collection, and I would, you know, do a couple of videos on it, carry it a little bit, and call it good. But I actually really, really like this one more than I thought. Comment down below what you think of the Primo here, and any additional information on the steel is much appreciated. Curious to see how this blade will start to patina more and more, despite having that dark acid wash on there. All right, guys, talk to you later. I'm out.